Hi everyone, welcome aboard. Okay. Let me get myself pulled up. Okay. Say hi when you're here. So we're in an event. So we're going to hold off for a second until I see Gia has us put in. Hi Jody, how are you today? Thank you, Gia. I appreciate it. Thank you. This is Creative Crafters Ensemble. I am Jenna with Applewood Creations. Our host today is Gia with Gia's Creations. So say hi when you're on. We're going to try and get through this because I'm not feeling well. And I have a doctor's appointment as soon as this is over. So, but we're going to get through it. I'm glad you're out and about, Jody. So we're making a patriotic mouse. This is the Stars and Stripe event. And hi Brenda. And I decided a mouse. I don't know why I associate Americana with a mouse, but I do. So he's 7 inches tall by 5 inches wide. And I have him heavily weighted with doll weight. You can also use sand, but he sits. When you weight something, you always want to rub it, roll it back and forth to distribute that weight so it sits. But we're putting him on a can. Thank you. A can that chicken came in, so it's a thicker can. I've already covered it in this red, white, and blue checked fabric, and this is the opening. So I just cut, hi Renee, welcome. So I cut a piece of cardboard, covered it in white felt. So this is the can top, but I'm using this as my top for my mouse to sit on. And I cut a piece of cardboard that's a 1/2 inch bigger than the diameter of this. So there will be like a 1/4 inch overhang all the way around, because he's going to be perched on top of here. I've also made him a hat, and his ears are going on his hat, and he has feet. And I took some rusty wire and I made his hands. So I just took the wire, folded it in half, made 3 loops, squeezed them together with pliers, and then twisted the excess wire back down on the main piece of wire. So he's got 3 little fingers, claws. Hi Yachty, whatever those are called. Hi Yvonne, welcome. So we have, oh, thank you for sprinkling, Renee. I appreciate that. So we're going to finish our mouse, and I know he doesn't look like much of a mouse right now. I bent his head and took a few little stitches right here in the neck so that his head would have this curve in it. So we're going to make him Americana. We have a flag. We have all kinds of stuff sitting here. And I made a label. I didn't make this label. I had this label. I don't know where it come from, but if it's yours, thank you. I don't know who it belongs to. So I usually write on the back who I got them from, but this I did not. And we're going to put it on a piece of red fabric that has little stars all over it for the front of our can. Red, white, and blue scrap fabric, or ribbon. So what we're going to do first is put our mouse's nose on. I just made a triangle that would fit the point of his. Hi Sharon. Hi Natalie. Welcome. Sharon, I'm glad you got me. I just made a triangle that would, this is felt, that would fit the tip of his nose, and I just rounded off the top part of it. And we're going to hand sew that on. So I'm going to put that there and hold it with a pin. And we're just going to stitch it. I'm just going to do a running stitch around the nose. Hi, Deborah. Welcome. Thank you, Natalie, for sprinkling. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you. Hi, Patty. Yeah, my husband got this for me. It says, so, S-E-W, opath, sociopath. So I'm going to, this is knotted, and I'm going to put my needle up underneath the center of the nose so that the knot is hidden under his nose. And I'm just going to do a running stitch all the way around, just to hold his nose on. Now, this could be glued on. And you all are going to have to bear with me because I'm not feeling well. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate it. My hubby went to work at 4 o'clock this morning, and he opened up the front door, and it felt like somebody turned the oven on. It was 90 degrees at 4 o'clock this morning. It is now 107 out there. It's like, okay, we're ready for this to go away. It's been awful for a whole week. Over 100. But at 4 o'clock this morning, for already to be 90 was crazy. Hi, Joanne. Welcome. I'm glad you all could hop on here. Thank you, Patty, for sprinkling. I know, Deborah. He opened up that front door, and I thought, oh, and he works outside. And, yeah, I was like, oh, Lord, please protect him in his heat. Because you know, the older you get, the less heat you can stand. Okay, so I am just going to put my needle back underneath of the nose and just come out somewhere. That's going to hide my tail and hold my nose on. I just made a little knot. That way both tails of my thread is hidden. So there's his nose. I tried to watch Leah, and it was glitching so bad that I couldn't watch her. So Leah she started us out today. So if you didn't get to see her, she did something with a red truck, which I want to go back and watch because I have a red truck I've been trying to figure out what to do with. So thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to take the same needle that I used, and I'm going to go straight across the top of his nose to mark where I want his eyes to be. That's the easiest way that I have found for eye placement, because you go in one side and right out the other. And I'm just going to make right where the needle comes in, and I'm going to make 2 little snips, and that's where my doll eyes are going in. Just pull that back a bit and make a snip, just big enough. So what I'm using, this is a thin wool blanket that I'm using for his body. So I'm just using tiny little doll eyes. And I snipped the back off, but you never totally get 100% of that snipped off. Or I don't. So I always make a snip for the rest of that post to go down in there. And I'm just going to glue those on. Tony's only 29 holding. 91 there. Wow. Yeah, normally This is our August weather. So it's a month early. So I'm just going to squeeze those in there to hold. I have some heavy duty, it's called button thread or rug thread. I keep it in a gum container that I put a hole in it. And my needle, I just stick it down in there because this is what I use a lot when I'm doing dolls and bears and things to sew the different parts up. 92, yeah. Tony wishes he was 29. Probably not, but so I'm going under the nose, and this is his whiskers. And if you have a problem with your needles, put some beeswax on them. And that helps them glide through thicker fabric. And I'm keeping where I'm going in and where I'm coming out under that nose. So he's going to have about 3 whiskers on each side. Just clip it. So there's his whiskers. He looks more like a seal right now, doesn't he? He won't once we get his ears on. And his tail and all that fun stuff. So I made a, thank you for the hearts and thumbs up. This is a paper towel tube I just cut down. I covered it in the same red, white, and blue check that I did the can. This is his brim, and we have to do the top. This is actually a buttonhole cutter. I couldn't find an X-Acto knife, so I'm just making slits in this brim so I can fit it down over top of his hat or his head. So, you know, use what you got. Buttonhole cutter. And you sew, you have all kinds of sewing stuff. I couldn't find a box cutter. When I went to ask Tony for one, he went to sleep, so I didn't want to wake him. Feels like 102. Yeah, when Tony came through the door, he comes home about 11:30, 12 o'clock. He walked in the door and I could tell he just had it for the day. He handed me all of his stuff and went to the shower. It's like, oh crap, he's had it. But at least now, he's not in the hottest part of the day. So all I'm doing is wrapping this fabric around this little piece of the paper towel tube for the very top of his hat. So I was hoping, when I was watching Leah, all I was able to say was hi. I was thinking, I hope that's not my internet glitching and mess up my my video. But I could not watch her. Hi Dorothy, how are you doing? How hot is it where you are? So we just covered it. And we're going to glue it right to the top of his hat. It's 99. I think the whole country is like overheating right now. We just covered the top. And we're going to glue it right to the brim. So those of you just joining, I am making a patriotic mouse. This is Creative Crafters Ensemble and the Stars and Stripes event. So, oh, thank you, Kay. I appreciate it. So we have his hat, and then we scored that so we can push all of that up inside. So just the top of his head will fit in there. Set that aside. Let's get our mouse, or our can, and let's do, this is just a piece of burlap. And we're going to glue, cover this whole thing. Hi Jill, welcome. I'm Jenna. For those of you who don't know me, I live in Middle Georgia. I'm an implant here in Georgia from Pennsylvania. So all I'm doing is pushing these little tabs of this burlap over the edge of this cardboard, just so we don't have a cardboard edge, because we have another piece to put on top. This really isn't going to be seen because it's going to be on the top of that can, but I just made little slits all the way around just to fold it over. Then we're going to glue this one right on. Whoops, something's coming loose. So this is, wow, we're getting a storm. That was some really loud thunder. Did you all hear that? That'd be nice. I could go to the doctor's office as soon as we're done here. Hopefully it holds off because he's only down the road. Looking for my things to press. If we get a bad thunderstorm at 107 degrees outside, that's not going to be fun today. And we're going to glue that right to the top of our can. I'll probably get drenched. I'm just feeling to make sure I got the same overhang all the way around. Hi Barb. You're not going to be able to see this burlap either because I have Sweet Annie and Spanish moss. Okay, so on the front of our can, just glue that burlap a little bit more. Okay, so I thought I would put this piece of red fabric at the stars underneath. Let me see, because this just fits the width of this can. have to find an umbrella before I leave. So I'm just going to rip this to get all those rough edges. This is just going to make the label stand out a little bit more. Well, that doesn't want to rip. So we're just going to cut it, and then we're going to fray it. There's more than one way to skin the cat, right? Don't want to cooperate one way, we'll do it another. So I'm just going to stick this here on the front and glue it down. Hi Leah, thank you for sprinkling. I was saying that I tried to watch you, but it kept glitching, and so I have to go back and finish you, because I don't know, it was my internet or I don't know what was wrong. I'm going to glue this right to the front, right on top of that red fabric. I have glue strings everywhere. I hate that feeling. Okay, let's get back to our mouse. He's going to be glued right there on top of his can. That's going to be his perch. So on his hat, I am putting a piece of red ribbon just right around. Leave it overhang just a little bit. Because his ears are going to be glued to this instead of on his head. So his ears are stuffed lightly, just with fiberfill. I don't know, Leah. I went out and came back in about 4 times. I don't, probably was mine. But I had an awful time trying to watch you. I did say hi. I don't know if you saw that. But whatever you said, it just kept repeating what you were saying. I was like, what the heck is going on? Let's glue that on his head. But I did say hi. Thank you. Yes, Barb, you do. Timu. That's where this came from. So there's he is. So on his chest, I have a piece of red and white gingham. Hi, Donna. It's 3 inches by 2 inches. I pulled it out of my bin. That's what the shape it was. Thank you, Dorothy. And it already had the rounded edges doing something. So I'm folding it in half and folding it in half again. Where all the folds are on that corner, I'm going to hold, and I'm going to take my scissors, get all the glue strings off of it. They're worse than spider webs. And I'm just going to fringe this little scrap piece of fabric down to where my fingers are. And I'll clip those folds. So That's what it looks like, just fringed. And I have these pieces of red, white, and blue ribbon I pulled out of my scraps of ribbon. I'm folding them in half. I'm putting them on a pin to hold them until I get them glued. Oh, Donna, I hope so. You've been suffering a lot lately. I have a doctor's appointment when I leave done here. And I'm putting a red, white, and a blue, and I'm using 2 pieces of each ribbon. These are long, so I'm folding them in half. And I'm thinking I'm gonna have to wake my hubby up to take me. So I'm sort of putting this pin through the middle of these. It doesn't have to be exact. So we just made like sort of a flower. I'm gonna pull my pin out and just put a stitch in that to hold it. I just want to hold this all together until I get it glued. Naturally, the thread loop picked up a loop of the ribbon. There we go. I'm not knotting it off because it's all going to be glued. Or maybe I better. Second thought. I'm going to knot this. If you have a loop of thread, it's going to catch everything around it, even when you don't want it to. So I'm definitely going to knot this. I hate to get it on his chest and then the whole thing fall apart. Hi, Shelly. Welcome. Thank you for sprinkling. I appreciate it. So this is what we have. And so wherever the loops are, I'm just going to cut them in half. So we have sort of a rosette, and we're putting a rusty star on this. And it's going on that piece of fabric we just fringed, and it's going on his chest. So I'm going to rough up this fabric a little bit. This will help fringe it out a little bit better. Just make it look rougher. I was trying to figure out what to do on the front of him, and I don't know how I came up with this, but I think it's going to look cute. Thank you, Barb, for sprinkling. So this is just a 1-inch rusty star that I'm putting right on the front of him. Ooh, that metal gets hot fast. We have to put his arms on. Like I said, they're just rusty wire that I twisted into fingers. And we're going to stick those into the seam on both sides because he's going to be holding a flag. So I made all kinds of arms, but I thought I'd like these ones better. And I'm just poking them in and then pulling them out a little bit to put glue on them. So this one's longer. I want it to curve around a little bit because he's going to be holding a flag. So this is 20 gauge wire. I like using it. It's heavy wire, but it's still bendable with your fingers. Let's get these arms. So I'm just working it into the seam. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, this one, I'm going to have to make a little tiny snip. It doesn't want to cooperate. Just like your kids. You get one to cooperate and the other one refuses. Or grandkids at my point now. So there's his hands. Oh, thank you. That's just a paper towel tube. Okay, let's glue him on his perch. We have his feet to put on yet. Yes, Shelly. I'm making Peppy. So I'm putting a little bit of glue until I get his feet on him. Oh, thank you. So I'm just going to hold him there for a second. On each side of this label, I'm going to put a red button. I just saw him sitting here and I'm like, what did I put those there for? Now I remember. Okay. So let's tuck his feet up underneath of him. And we got to cut him a tail because I forgot to cut a tail for him. Poor little guy. Going to be tailless. So now let's glue the front of him down. So there's his feet. So this is the hem, the serged hem on that blanket. So that's what I'm using for his tail. So let's stick that under the back of him. If I thought about his tail ahead of time, I would have put wire in it so I could wire it. But since I didn't, we're just going to twist it a little bit and just glue it into a twist. Okay. Let's glue this down a little bit more. sitting beside. A long time ago, I bought this cotton fabric that was just rows of flag, and you could cut them down. I don't know where I got it from. Cut it down to whatever size flag you wanted. So I cut this one down, and thank you, Donna. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Yeah. Thank you, Shelly. So I just put it on a piece of felt. So we're going to grunge that up a little bit. And I just have instant coffee in a spray bottle. Come on. There we go. And I'm just putting a little bit of coffee on there. And then rub it in. Just to make it look a little older. Yeah, I could do that, Shelly. Yeah. So I just wanted it a little grungy. This is a skewer that I used a Sharpie on and just colored for this, for the holder. I'm gonna crunch the back of this. This is like too white. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to dry that a little bit to glue it on. I'm looking to see where my dryer is, which I don't think it's on the table. If I didn't have so many wires, I could follow one back. Oh yes, please send them to me, Shelly. I like to see what you all make too. So when I make something for the 4th, I normally give it to my daughter, or I sell it, because she decorates for every holiday. She even decorates for back to school. So when her last child is actually out of the house, I don't know if she'll continue doing that. But yeah, she decorates for everything. She has a 2-car garage jammed full of decorations. But Christmas is her big holiday. She probably got that from growing up. I had my gift shop and we decorated everything. So there, that felt just gives it a little bit of body. I'll push this on because it's damp, and hot glue will not hold to something damp usually. So let's get him over here. Let's put his flag in his hand. Let's bend his arm a little bit more. Christmas is your favorite too? It used to be mine. When my kids were home, I decorate. Well, we had a really big house too, and I decorated everything, and then the store. But now that I'm older, it's just like, if I have a tree, I'm good. Hi, Colette. How are you doing? If I have a tree, I'm good. And if I don't, I'm good too. Unless I'm getting company. Then I don't want to be bah humbug with company. So this is Spanish moss that I'm going to tuck around him. I guess so many years of being single, I was never going to decorate just for myself. And I just got out of the habit of doing it. But I still have totes of decorations. Like I'm decorating a gigantic house. I need to go through. Okay, let's tuck some more around him. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having Christmas decorations out. I have an Anna Lee character in my curio. I never take her out. So yeah, Barb, that's what, you know, Tony doesn't care. We don't have any little kids. We don't have any tiny grandchildren. And we go to our daughters for all the holidays, so it's a lot of work and mess. That's the way I look at it. So I have some Sweet Annie. Let's snip a little bit of this off. Yeah, I do Christmas in July. If I'm doing a craft show, then I get more into Christmas making, but I still don't really decorate. So but I haven't done a show in a lot of years. Hi, Regina. Welcome. No, we are not staying cool. It's 107 down here. So it is not cool. So the thunder stops. I hope it stops long enough for me to get to the doctor and get back home. And then it can just rain. But you know, my luck, that's not going to happen that way. I know you are. I was checking into the town we lived in before we moved here. They have 4 shows a year. So I had inquired about doing their show, I think it was last year. So they just sent me the application for fall. I don't know. We'll see. So that's what he's looking like so far. I know. So I'm going to take some more of these rusty stars and put some more on the sides of this can. It is a lot of work. I used to do 20 shows a year when I had my store, plus my store. I did 20 shows a year. Talk about burnout. Yes, Barb's a busy lady. So I just put some rusty stars around the can. 20 shows, that's insane. But I was a whole lot younger too. Well, you'll have to ask me or Barb. They have guidelines. Every show has a guideline. So we're going to put this flag in his hand. Oh, thank you, Shelley. A little bit of glue there between his fingers to hold that flag. Hi, Jill. Welcome. So up after me is Yachty's Workshop with Yachty. This is a free group. There's a link in the description. If you aren't a member, please go join it. Gia does a wonderful job. At 4 o'clock is Crafting Barefoot with Sharon. 5 o'clock is Rustic Daisies with Renee. 6 is our host in Gia's Creations. And 7 is Crafty Fox by Tamara. So if you aren't following any of those ladies, please give them a follow. And if you watch on replay, let them know that too, because it's always nice to know someone's watching. So he needs something. Make sure I got the right scissors here. I told my hubby a few months ago I needed my scissors sharpened. Thank you for the hearts and the thumbs up. He went and bought me a new pair. Thank you, Renee. I thank you for that. So he needs something. What's he need? Something around his neck. So let's get some jute. Something plain. Just a little tie. I'm looking at him and think something don't look right. He needs something around his neck. So I'm untwisting. Now this jute has 3 strands, so I'm pulling out all 3 strands. Thank you. Yes, that's, you know what, maybe a bow tie instead of jute. Let me cut this off. Maybe a bow tie. Change your mind at the last minute. Now this is red with white little stars on it. So let's do, how big of a bow tie do you need? That'll work. I always talk to my project. My projects tell me what they want. So I'm going to scrunch this together. Yep, that'll work. This needs to be thinner. So we want to cut it or rip it. I'm just going to tie this in a knot behind the bow. Make a bow tie. Make him look dapper. That's what he needed. He needed a bow tie. Little Dapper Dan here. So now he just needs a female mouse. That's what he needed, that tie. Oh, Donna, mice are so easy to make. He is dapper, Jill. That bow tie just made him that way. Just gave him the finishing touch that he needed. So I'm glad I didn't try to make this whole thing live. I had a bunch of stuff prepared. We would have run out of time. Bend this arm forward a little bit more. He needs something. I am never finished with my projects. I look at them and look at them, and sometimes even the next day I go back and add to them. But I love Sweet Annie. But if you have allergies or allergic to a lot of stuff, Sweet Annie isn't for you, because it has a really strong scent to it. I mean, this Sweet Annie is over a year old, and it smells up my whole room, and I have it sealed in a box. Ratatouille, yeah. Thank you. So, I had a customer one time, she was allergic to everything coming and going. She walked in my store. I made homemade potpourri, and I had big tubs, and she walked in my store. She couldn't get out of there fast enough. It just threw her right into an allergy attack, and she couldn't have anything with Sweet Annie. So there he is, minus glue strings. See, there's his face. And he needs cheeks. I'm going to have to give him some rosy cheeks. So I like the ears on top of the hat instead of on the side of the head. Oh, thank you, Sharon. I'm glad you caught me live. Since the last update, a lot of my followers aren't getting notifications. Thank you, Regina. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I like the stars going around the can. Thanks, Barb. So all it is a tin can that I covered. Debbie the mouse. Hey, that works. He needs a name. So if you're not a member of Creative Crafters Ensemble, thanks, Kay. Please go join. Gia does a fabulous job. Thanks, Colette. How's your dad doing? Up after me is Yaddy with Yaddy's Workshop. And then at 4, Crafting Barefoot with Sharon. At 5 is Rustic Daisies with Renee. 6 is our host, Gia, with Gia's Creations. And wrapping us up is Tamara with the Crafty Fox Creations. Yeah, Sharon, I'm glad. So if you're not following any of those ladies, please, if you have time today, hop on and watch them. Hi, how are you? You caught me right at the end. We're in an event with Creative Crafters Ensemble, and this is our Stars and Stripes. Yeah. Aw. Colette, maybe that's the best thing for him is a lot of sleep. Thank you for the hearts. But there's our little patriotic mouse. You can always get me on replay. And I've discovered I am not following you anymore either. So I got to go back and check all the ones I'm following. But there he is. We still have a few minutes left. So I will show you that fabric. So this is the fabric. It has just flags on it. And then on the top part of it is a bunting. And I have no idea where I bought this from. It's a panel. You can buy panels. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I've been using the flags at the bottom. So for this one, I cut it way down, because these are like 5 inches. Back to sewing your cross. Well, this is a thin wool blanket that I used on him. Oh, thank you. You too. We're just going to our daughter's for a small cookout. Nothing big and fancy, but that's where my flag came from. It is. It is. And I've had this for years. So it's just a panel. You can actually cut that down and make a bunting out of it. But if you Google Americana panel fabric, you'll be able to find it. And I have some panels coming up for all the holidays, because I don't think I'm going to be using them. So a panel is really nice to make a quilt, a throw. Wow. $14. Oh my goodness. That's awful. But fabric is so ridiculous right now. So if you all are on Vinted, there's tons of fabric on there. Craft supplies. Yeah, this is just a furry wool blanket. And it's like a queen size. So I got a lot of it. So I'm glad you all like it. I had like 4 projects, so this is the one I settled on. I know. A lot of times if you get fabric on like Etsy, they sell it by the half yard. I don't like buying fabric on Etsy because it's either a fat quarter or a half a yard. Oh, that's awful. I do that though. I'll purchase things and I think that's not what I wanted. So I'm thinking I'm gonna, as this dries. Whatnot, yeah. Vinted has a lot too. I've been selling stuff on Vinted, household stuff, and they have tons of fabric. And the prices are like reasonable. I have to control myself. No, you can't. You can't do much with a half a yard. So I'm going to keep pressing that as it dries. So it looks like it's waving. So stay tuned. Just refresh the page. Yadi from Yadi's Workshop is on. God bless you. Thank you for hopping on and watching me. I'm glad you like my little mouse. If anybody wants to purchase him, let me know. So God bless all of you. Have a wonderful night.